Now, the other statewide issue being decided this year is Proposition DD, and if this one passes, it would legalize sports betting in Colorado and then tax it to pay for Colorado water projects. Now, opponents say it gives lawmakers too much of a blank slate, but State Senator Kerry Donovan told me she sees it differently. Lawmakers have already okayed sports betting. The governor has as well. So why does it come down to voters?
Well, we have to ask the voters to give us permission to use a tax on sports betting, to use that for water projects going to the future. So that's what we're asking the voters to support. The Supreme Court said that we could legalize sports betting and regulate it as a state. And so we can impose a tax on the casinos who want to have sports betting. And then those tax dollars, the state has decided bipartisan with large support across both chambers to put that money towards funding the water plan.
So let's talk about how much money. The estimates are what, 16 million in revenue every year?
Yeah, we think once we get a full year, we'll get about 16 million per year. So the first year we'll hopefully see around 10 because we won't have a full year of sports betting once this law goes into effect. But once we have a full year under your belt, we hope to see about 16 million total. And a large portion of that will go towards funding the water plan.
We'll talk about water in a moment, but some of that would go to addiction services. And I think some of the concerns that people have is that that doesn't grow incrementally as the revenue grows.
It won't grow incrementally, but I will say it's what the stakeholders and the people that are really informed on the addiction side of this, they thought that would be an effective number to address any issues we have come up. So I feel confident that's the right amount of money.
And how do we know where specifically that money will go? I mean, you say water, you say addiction services. Yeah. And then what?
And then what, right. Yeah, it's important. We want to be very accountable with this because we are asking the voters to trust us to spend those dollars effectively and responsibly. And the water plan is, of course, based on basin by basin. So every river has a roundtable that said, this is how we best think we could use these funds. So we have that spell out. It'll also go through a public process with another board, as well as the lawmakers being able to look at that through the CWCB. And they'll say, these are the projects we think best fit for this money, and that will have public input, but also the real water professionals looking at how those dollars should be spent.
So give us some specifics on what kind of water plans, or where this gap would fill.
Sure, it's quite broad, which makes sense because we think about the scarcity of water in Colorado and with our population growing, and so we have projects that across the state will need to be funded. And what's great about DD is it gives us annual funding, so we'll be able to plan ahead and know that from year to year we have money to invest in projects, from everything from conservation projects to lining irrigation ditches to new water management systems across the metro area. So every area is going to have their own unique problem that they need help addressing, and these funds will be able to be sent out across the state to address a variety of water projects.
And I think another one of the concerns is that this would be diverting water, building dams, that there are some environmental concerns tied to this as well.
We have incredible support from the environmental community. That was one of the remarkable things that happened during session, is we had all these diverse groups come together to support this bill. And now even we have groups from diverse as the Farm Bureau to Conservation Colorado endorsing DD for support this fall. But the projects could go for environmental projects such as conservation if that's what a river basin requests.
Although there was one group that called it climate denying.
Climate denying?
Yeah, a river destroying scheme.
I haven't heard that from a single person who's been working on these basin roundtables. So, but again, it'll be these grassroots tables, roundtables that kind of direct the conversation of how these funds will be going. And the water plan also has a lot of this discussion already embedded into it. And that was a years-long process that finally got Colorado to join the rest of states across the western United States to have kind of a master plan for the future of water.
So what happens, let's say, in 5 years or 10 years from now? Assuming this revenue, assuming this is passed and we have this revenue in Colorado, what do you foresee?
Well, hopefully we can look back at the water plan and say we invested in this document that was kind of a long-term vision for water. We know that we have two realities. We know that we have water as a scarce resource, and it's all on the western slope. And we know that we have population growth that's happening on the eastern plains. And when you start to look how those two interplay, we really need to take some time and say we have to invest in the long-term success of Colorado, and that means the long-term future of Colorado across the entire state from corner to corner. So this really, DD is a vote that should impact every citizen of Colorado to have long-term funding that we can plan on an annual basis, which of course is a challenge in Colorado's budget, and be a tax that's just on casinos. So the casinos will pay a tax, and the rest of us can hopefully see the benefits of those new monies coming into the state's budget.
Senator Donovan, thank you.
Thank you.
And when we return, we'll take a look at a program bringing the arts into Colorado's prisons.